Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Khadijah and today my group members Zainab Zuhaira Khair, Nur Nazifah, Nurul Kayisha, Sarif and I are going to present our term paper about the challenges faced by IIUM AHAS KIRKHS undergraduate students on Gombak campus in regard to financial issues, social well-being and academic performance due to online learning during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Muhammad Sarif. In this abstract, I will talk about 3 points. The first one is the COVID-19 pandemic has focused educational institutions through the world to putting economic to keep academic activity alive. Most educational establishments have switched to online learning platform. The second point is students believe that online programs appear because of their flexibility and convenience, but that broadband connectivity corner in remote collection make it difficult for students to participate in online learning effort. The three is the role of these students were finance issue, social well-being, and academic performance, and to look at student perception of academic stress during modern online education, as well as their coping based on emotion intelligence. So that's all for this part. Thank you.
For my parts, I will explain about background of the problem first. After that, I will continue with research questions and research objective. Earlier in 2020, our world has been tested with the pandemic of the new virus, which was first identified and reported in Wuhan, China on 31st December 2019, called COVID-19. Due to the fast and easy spread of this disease around the world, many countries experienced many lockdowns in order to control the spread and to save people's life from this unseen but highly transmittable virus. Later, on the 27th of May 2020, the Higher Education Ministry of Malaysia announced that all teaching and learning activities in all universities and other higher education or any learning institutions to embrace online learning due to the lockdown and campus closure, which left a huge impact on physical classes. Thus, students are introduced to two modes of online learning, which are asynchronous and synchronous, as the best alternative to continue the learning process. However, online learning comes with massive challenges, and for our research, we decided to focus on financial issues, social well-being, and academic performance. As people are aware, the COVID-19 pandemic has caused a lot of economic damage globally, which has triggered real financial insecurity among many students, especially students from low-income backgrounds. While some students are doing part-time jobs to cover their university fees and other study expenses, there is also enforcement from the government that only allow full-time workers to go to work during lockdowns, causing students who are doing part-time jobs to lose their source of income. Second, university students also face challenges in their social well-being during this COVID-19 pandemic. They often feel lonely, anxious, and depressed as a result of their reduced social life during the pandemic. Moreover, lockdown measures and social distancing have a significant impact on university students' daily social lives, as they prevent the majority of social interactions, especially peer and social support. Additionally, due to the limited and almost non-physical interactions with other people and loss of social contacts on a regular daily routine, during the pandemic, students have become awfully awkward when communicating with people physically. Third, academic performance has been the top priority for students. However, since the pandemic, students had to adjust to new technology and environmental conditions, which can be unsettling and have an impact on their academic performance. Lim New and a few other writers stated two factors that affected students' academic performance, which are first, device usage, independent learning, and students' participation in a variety of digital activities, and second, technical self-efficacy, self-regulation, cognitive effort, and attitudes towards technology use. Now, I will continue with research questions. This research aimed to answer the following four questions. First, what are the challenges and difficulties of online classes students face during the COVID-19 pandemic? Second, what kind of study course do students find most burdening during the COVID-19 pandemic? Third, how are students dealing with their social well-being during the pandemic? And last, what are the factors that affect students' academic performance during the pandemic? Moving to research objective, we have listed four important objectives to be focused on, which are to identify what kind of financial problems students may have faces during this pandemic, for example, university fees, family income, or other expenses for online classes. Other than that, our objective is to identify the CGPA levels of academic performance among students during this pandemic and to recognize the factors affecting students' academic performance. After that, to know how frequent students meet and interact with people during this pandemic. And last but not least is to identify any problems in socialization that students face due to online or home-based learning and how it affects them. That's all from me. Now I will pass to the next presenter.
I am Zainab Zahra Khair and I will continue with the significance of this study. First of all, the study could be important to the university students. This is because students will acknowledge their problems during online class from the information of this study. They will also realize that they are not alone in facing this problem and this will encourage them to help each other, especially to the student council to take care of the community welfare. Second, for the university management. The result from this study will enable them to take proper actions according to the problems. For example, they can find some ways to ease the burden of the students after knowing the cause and effect of the problems. This will also improve teaching and learning in the university as well as the performance of the university. Third, for the Ministry of Higher Education. This study presented about the online teaching and learning and the challenges for the student. By knowing this, the ministry can recognize which part of the new learning method can be improved. They can also plan to implement online learning even after the pandemic ends, if it brings great impact to the students. And lastly, for the future researchers, this study can be a reference for the future research as it is a new topic that occurs during the COVID-19 pandemic. By knowing the challenges and difficulties that students face because of online learning, it can help them to propose better solutions in the future. Now let's take a look at the research method used in this study. We use mixed methods, which is the combination of quantitative and qualitative methods. This is because qualitative findings can validate the information from quantitative findings. Specifically, we use survey and interview. The online survey is distributed to the students of AHAS KIRKHS and they have to answer short objective questions. Meanwhile, for the interview, we choose two students, which are a male student from the Arabic Language and Literature Department and a female student from Usuluddin Department. They are selected to equally gain perspective from different gender and different departments under the faculty. In the interview, they have to answer subjective and in-depth questions. The advantage of survey or questionnaire is its large scope, where it can reach a large number of people to collect a great deal of information. It can also be comprehensive, customized, versatile, flexible, and efficient. However, the accuracy of the data may be distorted as respondents may give the answers that they think the researcher will want to hear, as the answers is already in objective choice. As for the interview, it is useful because respondents can describe phenomena in detail as they are situated in local context. For example, in this study, we chose the two interviewees that come from the kuliah itself. It can also collect variety of findings as the data are based on the respondents' own interpretations of meaning. Like in the study, the two interviewees give their own explanation in different perspectives and describe their situation individually. However, the data analysis is time-consuming. It is difficult to find participants to be interviewed and to arrange the interview through online meeting because most students are busy and cannot participate in the interview.
I am Nur Nazifa binti Muhammad Abdul Jirami. I will continue about findings and discussions. First of all, these surveys were participated by 36 undergraduate students at IIUM Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman Kuliah of Islamic Real Knowledge and Human Sciences with 31 female and 5 male. They are from different courses, which is 16 participants from the Department of Arabic Language and Literature, 6 participants from Quran and Sunnah, 4 participants from Fiqh and Usul Fiqh Department. There are 2 students from English, Language and Literature, 2 students from Communication, 2 students from History and Civilization Department, 2 students from Sociology and Anthropology, and another 2 from Usuluddin and Comparative Religion. From 36 responses, there are 18 students from level 3, 9 students from level 1, 8 respondents from level 2, and only 1 student from level 4. The majority of students who answered the surveys are off-campus and Malaysian undergraduates.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Nurul Kaisha Maisara, metric number 2022874. Alhamdulillah, today I will be discussing the financial issues and the social well-being issues that we have asked the respondents in our survey. Okay, so I will be discussing the findings and also a short discussion. Bismillah. So, first of all, we have the first question, which is regarding their household income classification in terms of the Malaysian standards. First of all, we found that 50% of them fall under the B40 class. Secondly, we found that 44.4% of the respondents they fall under the M40 household classification. And lastly, only 5.6%, which is only 2 of the respondents, fall under the T20 category. Secondly, our second question is regarding what kind of financial problems do you face during this pandemic? So the first issue, the biggest issue is that regarding mobile data and Wi-Fi, which 18 respondents chose that option. After that, there are family expenses and gadget maintenance, which there are 17 respondents each. And after that, university fees, not having any problems, and even such issues like food, educational items such as a laptop, and retail therapy. Moving on to the third question, we asked which of the following do you spend the most on during online learning period because of the pandemic. So the first number one item that they spend a lot on is buying internet data. This is 41.7% of the respondents chose this. Secondly, it is upgrading and fixing devices. Number 3 is buying other necessities such as webcams or microphones. And lastly, they also added some answers of their own, namely books, groceries, and take out food during the pandemic. And lastly, we asked in this section, do you work or do you have a part-time job during online learning? And 75% of respondents said no, while 25% of the respondents say yes. Alright, now looking at the discussion, we find that the biggest problem, financial problem for a lot of the students is mobile data and Wi-Fi. This problem makes sense, especially considering that a lot of these respondents fall under a lower household income, and perhaps this might be a heavy burden all during this online learning period, because especially if they have other family members who are doing online learning or even working from home, they would need multiple laptops, multiple smartphones or other devices, and this could be a major source of stress for a lot of people and households. One of the respondents said that they spent a lot on retail therapy, which is an interesting point to bring up, because consumerism has been at an all-time high due to the pandemic. According to PwC, in the Global Consumer Insights Pulse survey, smartphone shopping is at a history high, with 49% of respondents stating that they shop daily or weekly via mobile, as opposed to 39% 6 months ago. So that's a 10% increase just in 6 months. And only 5 years ago, it was 12%. Moving on to the next part of our survey regarding social well-being issues. The first question we asked is, how frequently do you meet people face-to-face? So this is on a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being not at all and 5 being often, very often. So first of all, the majority of respondents said that they lie on 3 on the scale, which will indicate that they don't really frequently meet people face-to-face. Secondly, the most picked option is not often. Only one person said they meet other people very often. So moving on, as you can see, for question 2, we asked about, do you feel awkward interacting with people? For this question, a lot of respondents say that they lie on 3 on the scale, which is neutral. But what's worrying is that the second place is, a lot of respondents chose option 4, which means they are awkward. They have become awkward in interacting with people. Moving on, question 3, we asked, do you keep in touch with your friends often? So the number 1 choice is often, alhamdulillah, which is good. Or number 3 is very often, which is very good, because 7 respondents said they very often keep in touch with others. And number 4 is not at all. So 1 respondent said they did not at all keep in touch with their friends. For question 4, we asked, what are some platforms or ways that have helped you to maintain a healthy social life during the pandemic? First of all, the way that has helped the most, and 31 out of 36 respondents chose this, is texting, followed by social media, video calls, physical meetings, and lastly, school project. For the last question in this section, we asked, how do you think the pandemic has affected your social life in school due to online learning? This is an open-ended question, and there are many answers, but a lot are saying that it's hard to make friends. They've become awkward to make new friends. It's hard to socialize. Doing group work is difficult, which brings us to the discussion for social well-being issues. First of all, there are less interactions, especially physically, probably because of a lot of government mandates worldwide. So it doesn't matter if you're an international student or a Malaysian student. And then it is concerning that many have become more awkward or socially inept, with even one respondent saying it's hard to even say hello to other people now. Following that, a lot of them are not able to make friends in the university or in their classes, especially if they are new to the school, so it would be very hard, because they would not have a previously existing social circle. And lastly, this is making friends and studying with your friends or going out with them is a very big part of academic life. You have to have people who can relate to you, so that you won't feel so stressed out, and people to have fun with and to cry with. So the pandemic has stolen this very important part of academic life from a lot of students worldwide.
Then, academic performance. The COVID-19 lockdown changed from face-to-face teaching to online distance learning. So, using surveys filled out by IIUM AHAS KIRKHS students, this study could determine the differences between online learning and face-to-face teaching. So for the first question, we can see that 16 students remain the same CGPA and the 11 students had decreased and only 9 students can improve or can increase their point. It shows that students can adapt or can understand this teaching way. There was a lack of personal support and guidance or helps from their friends or maybe their seniors and lecturers. And also, they had a lack of motivation because when face to face on campus, we can see our friends or our roommates study or stay up in the night. So, at that time, we can feel the vibes and make us feel to join them to study, and automatically it can make ourselves motivate to study. Then second question about the CGPA range. There are 17 students get 3.01 until 3.59, then 30 students get 3.50 until 4 for flat, and only 6 students get 2.01 to 3 pointer. Then third question about the problems that students face due to academic performance. So most of them have a main problems or challenges to focus their lesson, to focus their study, because their home environment is noisy and they does not have a comfortable place to study like in university. They must to adapt the ways of lecturers teaching, board and other aspects. So we can conclude that learning at home was very challenging to students because they had to manage their time wisely to study, to do their assignment, to finish their assignment on time, to do house chores, to play with their sibling and to help their families. Next, fourth question about how far they understand lessons during the pandemic. So we can see that 22 students are neutral, which is center, half understand and half don't understand. And 0 students strongly agree that they understand the lessons during the online learning period. And the last question about what a kind learning that students prefer to further their study. And the majority of students preferred face-to-face learning due to the benefits for themselves to focus more in their studies, to have physical interactions and communication with people, with lecturers, with friends, and to achieve their own targets and goals. So, both online learning and face-to-face learning have similarities work to do. As a student, we still need to attend class. We still need to learn the lesson, submit the assignment, complete group projects, do group discussion and so on. And as a lecturer, they still have to create lesson plans, improve the quality of instruction, inspire students to learn and grade their students' work. So, even though the student preferred to further their study with face-to-face learning than online learning, we need to know that if we need to know even Online learning has several cons, but it can be beneficial in some cases to us. That's all from me. Thank you.
Now we're looking at our interview findings. So we asked one male and one female interviewee, and we asked them 8 questions regarding their general life in the pandemic and their school life. All right. So first of all, the male interviewee, he lives on campus, but he doesn't face much financial problems because he has a scholarship and he has no part-time job. However, he does find that data can be expensive, which is something that is reoccurring with our previous findings. And a good thing is his social life is maintained because he connects through social media, which is another thing that has been discussed. However, his academic performance is affected because he realizes that his CGPA has decreased in the last semester, and he does state a preference in learning physically. As for the female interviewer, she also lives on campus, and she also states that internet data is expensive, which really is something that is a problem which among students now. And she does have a part-time job, but she does it also to help her family, especially during this trying period, and to help her siblings study. As for her social well-being, she also maintained it very well through social media and WhatsApp, texting. However, she does notice that her interaction with lecturers have decreased, so it does affect academic life as well because she would like to ask questions and interact with her lecturers offline. Therefore, her academic performance also saw some decline because she could not focus very well and she couldn't understand very well. So that's all in general for interview findings. It is in line with most of what we have found through our questionnaire. Alhamdulillah.
From the study, these are a few recommendations on how to address the problem. First, the university could sponsor free or discounted internet data plan to the poor students who come from low-income households, as they need internet data to attend online classes. The university can also give free or discounted gadget maintenance service so that students can get their gadget fixed quickly and save their time and money. Besides, students can also join any society or club in the university to interact with each other. They can also do beneficial activities and reduce stress from online classes. In addition, the students can introduce each other in the first class to get to know each other so that they can work on group assignments properly. Plus, students and lecturers could make the class efficient and enjoyable by doing the teaching and learning in various ways. For example, lecturers can reduce the time of synchronous class and instead give quizzes or tasks or give recorded lectures to the students. And lastly, students should take a break and do simple physical exercise during the gaps of classes. This is to reduce the stress and fatigue from watching the screen for too long.
For the conclusion, this exploratory research were designed to learn more about the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic on university student final issue, social well-being, and academic performance due to online learning during the COVID-19 pandemic. This research will assist students in developing content plan to address the issue of finance and emotional challenge that they may experience during the pandemic. They can use a variety of way to address the emotional issues such as identify the major concern to be addressed and applying positive atmosphere, entering thinking, adjusting the learning rating enough rest and so on. The current study found that COVID pandemic lockdown has various degree of effect on most academic performance. So that's all for my group. Thank you for listening.